They're not going to watch me.
No, I'm saying what you wrote down.
Oh, is it hard to see? Okay. And we're live. Okay. So this slides I'm going to go over has they have a lot of links. So if you want access to those slides, I put them on SlideShare. So if you just want to write that short URL. If you're part of GLC, you probably have received an email with this link. But if not, just write it down. And if you have a laptop with you, feel free to open it up and kind of just go to link directly, so you can have all the forms pop up. They're all PDF forms. I highly recommend that you fill the PDFs and not like do them by hand, just in case you have some sort of a C looks like an E or something like that. Wow, this sucks. Feels weird.
Is that TJ or TI?
TJ, I believe. Yeah, TJ. See, just like that. Okay, are we good? And I believe even on SlideShare, if you just like search forming an Arizona LLC, you should be able to get this one. Okay. So just a bit of a background and why I can do this presentation, and I'm going to do this disclaimer in a second. My educational background is engineering, mechanical engineering, BS and MS. I teach at ASU and Chandler Gilbert Community College in engineering, but I started doing entrepreneurship about 2.5 years ago. And that's kind of, when I started, I had no idea how to basically do the organization paperwork. I had to read a lot, and it was just, a lot of the websites, they're not as clear. So the point of this class is to really just give you the links for every PDF form that you need. So you just, it's pretty much, you just click on the link, you fill the form, you print it, you sign it, and you send it in. So everything is very straightforward. Don't use this email, I'm not there anymore, but I'll give you another email. But you can reach me on LinkedIn, and I don't really tweet much, but I always put it on there. Biggest disclaimer I can do today is I am not a lawyer, and in no way or form I'm giving you legal advice. The reason I can actually do this class is I've formed over 7 LLCs, so I've been through the process, either forming LLCs on my own or helping other teams form their own LLCs. That's why I can take you through them. So some of the examples I'm going to be giving you, they're based on personal experience. If you ask me some questions, I might be able to answer them, or kind of tell you, okay, you need to talk to a lawyer about this because I'm not really familiar with it. So just think about it as more of a mentorship advice thing, not legal consulting. I have to do that disclaimer just in case. So today we're not only going to cover LLCs, I'm going to go briefly over the other type of companies that you can form and kind of focus mainly on an LLC and why you should go with an Arizona LLC instead of a C Corp, S Corp, at least for the stage that you're in. So the first type of company that you can go for is basically a sole company. But you're the only person in that company, and that's pretty much, it doesn't really require a lot of registrations in terms of do. Depending on what kind of business you're into, you have to get some sort of permitting. But the idea of a sole company is you're running a business out of your backyard, out of your garage, or out of a room in your house. All the money that you make in that company will actually count as personal income. All the losses that you make in that business will count as personal losses, so you claim everything on your own. It has pass-through taxation, so the company and you are pretty much one person. The problem with this kind of company is, just like I said, you and the company are one person. So if the company gets sued, and let's say you own 5 houses, they can actually come after those houses because there's really no separation of assets, and there's no, it's called corporate veil, so there's no corporate veil. There's nothing protecting you and protecting your personal assets from a company. So I highly recommend that whatever structure you decide to go with, you actually separate between your personal assets and what your business assets are doing. Just because as a startup there's a high risk, especially if you're doing medical or whatever it is, that if someone wants to take you out, they can really sue you as a startup and you're out. Because you're not going to have the money to hire the lawyers and to fight and do all these different things. A partnership is basically you and your brother want to start a company, and there's two people. It's the same idea as a sole, same regulations, same everything, but now you're actually splitting it up. So you have like some sort of an operating agreement between you guys saying, hey, I own 70%, you own 30%. So now the profits and losses are broken up that way. So if the company makes $100,000, it counts as a personal income to you that you made $70,000, and as a personal income to you as $30,000. He told me that you don't work as hard, so. Other way around, okay. You guys are twins, so I can't tell. All right, S Corp. S Corp is kind of like a pre-stage for a C Corp. There are personal separation of assets between you and the company. Now you're actually forming an actual company, and now you start having some sort of members. You can offer a limited amount of stocks, but whoever owns those stocks have to be U.S. citizen or a resident. So there's special types of stocks. Now the cool thing about the S Corp is it doesn't take as much prep as like a C Corp, which is now you're like Windows or Google or something like that. But it does offer basically pass-through taxation. So the taxes that you pay are on a personal level instead of separating your two companies. So what does that mean? On a C Corp, the company is its own person, right? And then you are a person. So you get basically taxed twice. You get taxed as a company because that company has its own expenses and income, and then you as a person will also get your own expenses and income. So does that kind of make sense, the difference between the two? The C Corp, on the other hand, you can offer as many shares as you want. You can sell the shares to U.S. citizens, non-U.S. citizens, whatever it is. So basically now we're looking at similar company that has like an IPO. Okay, now you have those shares, you have those stocks that you can sell in return for some money. You are required to hold annual meetings and record meeting minutes, and that's kind of where the board comes in. And usually, you have quarterly reports and things like that. Now, if you go public, now you have to do like public disclosure of all these things. Not every C Corp has to do public disclosure. It's only when you actually go public you have to disclose to your shareholders what you have. Yeah.
At the time that you go public, do they take previous records and make those public as well, or do they start when you go public? That's when all the records are kind of information.
I think they have to. Well, you don't have to disclose. I think companies do disclose like the previous year. Like if you remember when Facebook went public, you kind of looked back at the numbers of the previous year, right? You just kind of saw, they spent $20 million on marketing, whatever it is. So you kind of get an idea, and the reason they do that is that's how investors make a decision if they're going to invest in the company or not. So if you ever look like at Groupon's reports, Groupon is always losing money. Like you actually look at that's why you keep raising money. Like they haven't reached a model where they can just satisfy their operations from just the money that they're actually bringing in. So you just keep raising more and more money. So the one that I'm really focusing on is the LLC. It's the best one to form. It's the fastest one to form. It's the easiest to operate, and you're going to see in a second how within 3 weeks you can be up and running. You don't have to get a board. You don't have to get all these things. So what I recommend to all startups is get an LLC going because it does separate between you and the company. So you do have that corporate veil, that protection between your personal assets and your business assets. Now, everything that happens to the company will count as pass-through. So if the company makes $100,000 and you guys are two partners, again, it's going to be split depending on what's the percentage owned by each partner. And the same thing with an expenses. So if the company is losing money the first year, that would also pass as personal to you that you're losing money as well, because it is pass-through taxation. So it kind of offers the best of both worlds. It's easy to set up, just like a sole or a partnership. It offers the taxation of those structures, but it also offers the protection of a C Corp. So it kind of merges everything. One thing that I do want to mention is you hear about a lot of people forming an LLC in like Delaware or Nevada or something like that. They offer them there or they set them up there just because there's kind of the longest history of corporation in that situation. So you see a lot of companies forming in Delaware but operating somewhere else. If you end up going that route, you have to make sure that although you formed in Delaware, if you're planning on operating in Arizona, you have to form a foreign LLC in Arizona, or you have to form a foreign corporation in Arizona. So one of my companies is actually incorporated in Delaware, and we have to do foreign company in Arizona in order to be able to operate in Arizona. So I recommend that all kind of companies at your level, that you start with an LLC, LLC, and if you ever get investment, you probably have to upgrade to a C Corp. But this is the fastest way to do it, the cheapest way, without paying like thousands of dollars for lawyers to actually form all the C Corp documents, having to do the annual meeting minutes and all these things. And then once you get the investment, then basically ask the investor to pay all these legal fees. And that's exactly what we did. We started as an LLC, we got investors in, and we upgraded to a C Corp in Delaware. And it usually costs, like lawyers cost about like $15,000 to form those. So.
Do you get better tax breaks for being in Delaware?
No. As a C Corp, you do, like the company gets a better tax break, but yeah, that's. But again, if you're operating in a foreign situation, now you're paying in both locations, right?
So why would people go to Delaware than as opposed to?
It has better rules, like not better rules. It's like what I've heard or what I know of. It has the longest history of rules, so it covers a lot of situations that could come up in a legal situation in a corporation. Yeah. So let's say situation XYZ, right? It has not happened in Arizona. They probably don't have rules for that in Arizona, but in Delaware, because they've been incorporating for such a long time, they have those regulations and laws for these specific situations, for a majority of those situations. It's getting hot. I forgot it turns off after 6. All right. So it is governed by something called an operating agreement. I won't dig deep into an operating agreement today. It's an operating agreement is the document that you have between you and your co-founders. Okay. It basically states, what happens if you die. What happens if the company goes out of business, who controls what assets, who controls what voting power, because you can have memberships in an LLC, right? So you can basically say, I own 30%, someone owns 40%. You can have like voting and non-voting. So you can pretty much structure it just like a C Corp in your operating agreement. But that's kind of, it's usually like, sometimes it's a 20-page document, sometimes it's a 2-page document, sometimes it's a 60-page document, depending on how detailed you want to go into it. If you want to look into that to kind of form all these different rules, kind of talking to a lawyer would be a good start. If you guys are GLC or Edson companies, you have access to IAP, which is you pay them $250 for like an entire semester, and they can do all those documentations for you. And it's pretty much just like a lawyer, and it's actually a lawyer, but some of the work is done by the students, but it's reviewed by a major lawyer. And so you apply for IAP, and it's $250. I just applied for it again, and I got in. So they're helping me with patents, trademarks, and all that stuff for $250 a semester. So it's a really good deal.
What about but isn't LegalZoom a good resource as well, or how do you feel about LegalZoom?
LegalZoom is good. I mean, what they don't have is I don't think they have the operating agreement or like the founders agreement. They have the documents to form an LLC. The company that I really like with a lot of good forms is called Law Depot. And it's like a $7 membership a month, but you can cancel anytime. So, I usually sign up for a month, pay that month fee, get all the documents that I need, and cancel my membership. So, Val thinks I'm cheap. I am. I'm a startup guy. But, yeah, so you can go in there, and the cool thing about it, the LegalZoom doesn't have, is it asks you questions like who's the founder, and you type it in, and just like Q&A, and then you hit submit, and then it creates the 20-page document for you, and it gives you the chance in the end to say, hey, do you want to add any additional clauses, and go ahead and take a look at a couple LLCs, like LLC operating documents online, and kind of see what kind of things go in there. I highly recommend, I know you guys are buddies and friends, and you love each other, and you're forming a company together, get an operating agreement going the minute that you actually form an LLC, because if one of them flakes out, then you need to make sure that you understand what happens in the company. Another company just goes away. Another thing you want to look into is something called vesting schedule. What a vesting schedule is, you basically say, let's say I own 50% of the company, but 2 months from now I'm like, all right, I own 50%, I'm leaving, and then you guys have to keep pushing through and to actually make the company happen. What a vesting schedule does is it actually breaks down my shares over the next 4 years. So I only get a piece of my share for every year that I actually complete with a company. So it's kind of like it's kind of like an incentive. If you keep working with me and you keep building it up, then you keep getting your percentage. If you end up leaving a year from now, then you only get the percentage that you actually worked for. So that's kind of a way to build it up. And usually if you have an investor on board, they probably want that. They will include a vesting clause in there just because if you end up taking off, they want to make sure that they have the right to, to reallocate those shares to someone else who's going to come into the team.
So just really quick, one more.
Yeah.
So there's no board of advisors, board of directors for an LLC?
No. You can get a board just to kind of if you want a board, but not really. I mean, the new company that I'm forming, it's me and one guy, and we're done. Like that's it. And like we have a partnership agreement. We understand exactly what we're up to. But I usually recommend you get like an advisory board because you don't really have to have a board. There's no board. But if you get an advisory board just to kind of keep you on track, to kind of like a third party in case you and your partner are having a discussion of, it doesn't always come down to, oh, I own 70%, I make the decision. Because, that's not going to make the company work. So it's kind of like a third party you can bounce ideas off. And a good connection network too.
So if I just start by myself without any partners, is also good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Then in that case, I don't have to go through all this paperwork.
No, you do. You still have to do the paperwork, but you only put yourself on that paperwork. You don't want to start a company without doing the paperwork because otherwise you and the company are one person. So even though you're one person in the LLC, it's okay. You can always add people to the LLC documents. You can file an amendment and update it. We'll go over that. But you definitely want to get the paperwork going. I mean, if you actually search, I'll show you how to search for companies already formed. I have 3 companies with only my name on them, and then the operating agreement, the articles of organization that we actually do, has more people on it because as we kept going, we just kept adding people. So technically, you don't have to file it with the state that I added a co-founder if you just have an agreement between you and him. Does that make sense? So if you want to, if you're still looking for a co-founder, but you want the company to be legit, you want to have the EIN number, you want to apply for grants and all these things, just get it up and running with your name and then keep adding people after that.
So when you add, you have to spend some money for the amendments, right?
Yeah, it's very cheap though. Very cheap. I mean, the entire thing I'll show you in a second, plus expediting is like $85. So it's like super cheap. So this is the website for forming an Arizona LLC. It's not the, I mean, they have a lot of things here. Find a corporation, file. It's just, when I was a startup and I wanted to kind of take a look at it, it didn't make much sense to me. So I had to do like a lot of videos, and so it's just meant for someone who's already in the business field. So for a startup who's brand new to this, it's not the cleanest, here's what you need to do. They're actually improving it a lot, and they improve the process, but what the slides will give you is exact links of the things you have to go for. Does it exit out of the, it does. All right. So the first thing you want to make sure is the name of my company already taken? So I'm calling my company, give me something. ABC. All right. ABC. There we go. Yeah. ABC LLC. ABC LLC. So the first thing you want to do is you want to search for the company if it exists. So you click over here, and this gives you a searching capability, right? So if I want to call my company ABC, and I hit search, I see that there's already ABC and ABC. There's ABCAC. Wow. Okay. There's a. So you start like seeing a lot of ABCs. So as long as your name is not exactly similar to a name that's already out there, you should be fine, right? But let's say, oh, you like the name Blue Dream. All right. Well, Blue Dream is already taken. I took it. So all right. So Blue Dream is already taken. You can't file for Blue Dream. So you can see it right here, right? And you'll be like, okay, who owns Blue Dream? Like, I want that name so bad, right? All you have to do is just you click on it, and you actually get a list of the documents filed. So you can see that this was filed from SkySong, and I filed it, and all this information is public, and you can see who are the partners in there, and in addition to that, you can see the date that it was published. If I click here, I can actually see the forms that I filed, and this was in the back in the days that they did not allow you to fill the forms on PDF, so you can see my beautiful artistic handwriting. And you can also see the publication, and we'll talk about the publication too. So any company that actually files in Arizona, all these records are public. So I own Blue Dream and Blue Dream Group, so you can also see that as well. So the first,
When it takes your name, that applies to
you cannot take it. Like, this is just Arizona level.
convenience store, website, food business,
Nope.
the name's taken
Yeah.
regardless.
You cannot register a company with a name that's already taken. I mean, if you come up with Blue Dream Group,
You do a DBA there, right?
yeah, you can do DBA. I mean, that is just like doing business as, like, so you can register the company as ABC, but you can do the business as XYZ.
Is it like if you already have a S corp and like say my name is already registered and I already have an EIN to switch from an S corp to a LLC?
You want to go from an S corp to an LLC?
Well, I have a sole proprietorship now. I have an EIN.
Oh, sole proprietor, not an S corp.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sole proprietorship. I have an EIN. I'm registered with the state.
Okay.
My business name already, and say if I wanted to switch to an LLC.
You can upgrade to an LLC. Yeah. You can always upgrade. So that's why I said you can start with an LLC and then upgrade to an S corp and then upgrade to a C corp. So it's kind of like a stepping thing. So you're at sole, you can go to LLC, then you can either go to S corp or C corp. Yes. But like you can come up with a Blue Dream Group too, and that's a new company. So, and another thing you have to understand is this is Arizona based, right? So someone in Texas can start Blue Dream Group, and they should be like they're fine. I can't come after them. Now, if I register my company as a C corp and I actually get a trademark on my name, and someone wants to use that name, then that's a problem. Okay, then I can. Yes. So we registered Alpha Stripe Inc. as a Delaware corp. Right, and then we applied for a trademark on the word Alpha Stripe, so no one can use the word Alpha Stripe. Okay, so now if you say, hey, I want to start the company Alpha Stripe, okay, then I'll be like, hey, hold on, okay, I took that name before you. All right, so that's kind of how it works. But if you want to start Blue Dream Group in Texas, go for it. Okay, in Arizona you can't. So it's just the difference between LLC, they're more like state-based instead of the federal-based. But I can get Blue Dream Group as a trademark, and now that gives me a federal cover, like a nationwide cover. All right, so you search for your name. If your name is not there, then you'd be like, okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and move with that name. Oh, question?
So like let's just say you own Blue Dream, but I actually like Blue Dream, or someone else likes Blue Dream. What if they get a trademark before you do?
Good luck. Yeah, I mean, if they get it first.
So does that like screw over?
They do Dream Blue.
They can get the trademark. If I don't own the trademark. By the way, when you get a trademark, you cannot get a general trademark. So you need to get Blue Dream in a specific field. So if you get if you get Blue Dream in the furniture manufacturing business, that's your trademark. I can get Blue Dream also in the media production business, and I can still get that. So trademarks are only received in the field that you're in.
So then can someone instead start a business in Arizona and still call it Blue Dream because they have the trademark?
Well, no, they cannot register Blue Dream LLC. Like that's taken, yeah. But I'm saying like on a trademark level, on a federal level, you can get a trademark for any word in a specific field. Like you cannot. So if you look at slogans, like we're kind of going off a tangent, but if you go to
my question earlier, the website, food, convenience, you could do that for a trademark. You have both.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So if you go to USPTO and then you go to trademarks and trademark search, okay. For example, on here I can say basic word mark search. So if I say soar, right? I'm looking for the word soar. I'll see here that there are many things that have soar in them. Okay, so I have a soar here and I have a soar here, and both of them are trademarked, but they're in different fields. So if I click on this field, I can see that educational services, namely conducting conferences in the field of Bible study. This soar is administering a discount group contracting program, namely negotiating contracts. So same name, different fields. Yeah.
What kind of fees are associated with each corporation level?
An Arizona LLC is about $85. We'll talk about that. And a C Corp is a bit more expensive. I think if you go through like LegalZoom or something like that, you try to do it there. It's about like $1,000.
I mean, what about like the annual fee?
LLC does not have an annual fee. Like you just set it up and you're done. It's perpetual.
Okay, so no, California has like an $800 annual.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I moved to Arizona.
Oh okay.
Yeah, no, they are.
That's why you moved to Arizona, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is here.
Like this is how you do business, huh? All right. So after you do this, you have the chance of either reserving your name or actually registering your company. So let's say you're not really sure about the company yet. You just want to reserve that name. You like that name. You're just going to reserve it. You can reserve the name for 120 days using this form here. Okay, so it's a PDF. You can open it. You can reserve the name. What are you going for? It's one form, but I believe it's $10. Okay, and if you want to expedite it, it's $35. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to expedite those paperwork. Okay, pay the extra $25 to expedite them because there's a major difference between doing them just regular and actually making it go faster. If you just do go regular, it's like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and then you just like be like, is my application still there? If you do the fast route, it's like 2 weeks. So they actually do work. Like if you pay the extra fee, it does work. And I tried it in 2 different ways with 2 different LLCs. I was like, oh, they're just trying to get your money. No, they actually works. If you pay more, it goes in faster. I don't recommend people reserve their name. Maybe you have a condition where you do want to reserve your name. I just tell people just go for the company. You don't have your co-founders, that's fine. Just form the LLC, get that EIN number, start that bank account, and go from there. You can add people later on. There's no point of spending $35 on just reserving the name for 120 days, and then after that forming your LLC. But in case you guys are interested in, I gave you the link for that. Okay, so how do we go from here? The first thing we need to fill is the articles of organization. So if we click over here, these forms are not, you cannot save them. So once you fill them in, the minute that you're done, you have to click print form. So you just do it form by form. So don't think that you can type in, save, and like come back to it. So just kind of take about 30 minutes, and that's really all it takes to do all this paperwork. You can click on limited liability company. That's the first question. Do you guys know what a PLLC is? Have you if you see law offices, they follow by PLL, like it's a professional limited liability company. So if you're forming like a law group or things like that, then it's a PLLC. But LLC is just a standard one. All right, entity name. Basically, what are we going to call this company? Let's say SkySong, and then you always have to follow by comma LLC. Okay. If you want spacing in there, make sure you put a space. If you don't want space, so that's kind of the cool thing. Like Blue Dream, when I registered Blue Dream, I actually meant for Blue Dream to be 1 word, but the way I wrote it, because it was handwritten, it looked like 2 words. So the name of the company ended up being 2 words, because that's why I ended up getting Blue Dream Group. So, but you can do SkySong LLC, and then number 3 is only for the professional level. All right, statutory agent. Basically, this is the agent that's going to be handling the documentation. Okay, he's the person that is going to receive documentation, is going to make sure that you're always legal. And it's okay to be you, right? So if you have no co-founders and you're just ready to, you just want to get up and running, you just want to be legal, just fill yourself in as the statutory agent, the manager, the member, just everyone in that company. And that's perfectly fine. So over here, you go ahead and you fill your name. So, and we're going to put in the address. And the city. Is it 257, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much simple. All right, now it says, is the Arizona known place of business address the same as the street address of the statutory agent? You say, yeah, I'm operating out of SkySong, so I'm just going to use the same address over here. Or you can go ahead and fill that information over here. So it's pretty self-explanatory, step by step.
Can you use SkySong as that address?
Everything I put SkySong on it. Yeah, because what you can do is you can, file for an amendment later on, like after you leave from here. But this is kind of like the place of business. Doesn't really matter. I mean, they honestly, after I form, I've never received mail from them.
Okay.
So yeah, you can file for an amendment. I haven't left from here since like 3 years, so I didn't have to change it. But after you leave, you can file an amendment of change of address, and it's super easy too.
So if we put like price on any mail or anything comes with every receipt,
Are you an Edson company or GLC? I don't think GLC has mail here. No, it's only Edson company. If you're an Edson company, you have your own mail slot down there, right? You have like an Edson pile mail slot that you can go back to. Make sure you put like Suite 200 and then like attention, put the name of the company in there.
So if you actually move, just to an apartment, you can just make an amendment to whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like $10 to change it, and it's like just one form.
Yeah.
you can also give a temporary address.
You can give your home address. I mean, you can put your home address as a place of the statutory agent. I mean, you're the statutory agent, so it's okay to put your home address.
If you have a California LLC, what's the process like to transfer it over to become an Arizona LLC?
You can't transfer it over. You have to file for a foreign corporate. Yeah, you file for a foreign. Well, you can start fresh, right?
Yeah.
But starting fresh will give you like you have to get a new EIN number. But if you want to just operate in Arizona using that company, then on the website, the first link that I gave
Yeah, I
you,
saw that.
you
Okay.
can say form a foreign LLC.
Would I still have to pay California taxes like that, like the same tax?
I'm not sure about
Like,
California
or
companies.
any other foreign, like, do you pay Delaware taxes when you're operating
Yes.
in Arizona? Okay.
Yes, we pay.
The same thing as moving your headquarters.
Right,
Actually,
right.
yeah.
I'm wondering if it would be cheaper.
Is the company operational over there? Like really operational,
No,
or
not really. It
Just
would
shut it
be
down
easy
and
to
bring
shut
it-
down and over,
Yeah.
yeah. It'd be
just start
cheaper.
clean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheaper to do that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing when you do that is just you have to, you're really shutting down that company in terms of accounts, in terms of, assets, in terms of expenses, everything. And then now you're pretty much getting a new child with a new social security number and
Right.
things like that. So, you just have to make sure. Okay, so as we keep going, duration. Do not click on any of those because this is basically saying when does the company end? When does the company dissolve? If you don't fill any of those, it's automatically perpetual. That means it goes on forever. There's no need for renewal. There's nothing. It just goes on. But for example, let's say you want the company to dissolve when you die. So you can say, like, the life of the LLC will end upon the occurrence of this event. I pass away, or this person passes away. So you can specify when does the company die, too. But majority of the cases, I usually just leave them empty, and then in your articles of organizations between you, in your operating agreement between you and your co-founders, you can specify, what happens if I die? Does my wife get my shares? Do your co-founders get your shares? Do your co-founders want to work with your wife? What's going to happen in case that happens, right? Because you always want to put those clauses in. I know everyone is optimistic and we love life, but things can happen, so you always want to put those clauses in just in case. All right, so as we keep going, number 7 and
Operating agreement?
what?
That was put that in the operating
Yeah.
agreement?
Yeah. Number 7 and number 8. Is it a manager managed LLC or a member managed LLC? There's that small checkbox here that at one time I forgot, and they sent me back all the paperwork so I can refill them. So you basically have to put a checkbox here or here. Are you looking for a manager managed or member managed? What is the difference between the two? A manager is someone who can put the company in a legal binding situation. So a manager is someone who can sign for a company, who can write a check out, who can put the company through a contract, who can basically do some agreement in terms of the company. A manager can also be a member. So, for example, if you're forming a company on your own, you can be the manager and you can be the member. A member is someone who owns shares in that company but does not have the legal rights to put it in a legal binding situation. So, for example, let's say you guys are starting a company together. Okay, you want to be the manager, so you're both members because you both own shares in the company, but you want to be the manager because you came up with $50K that you're putting in the company, but you're not coming up with $50K. So now, let's say someone comes to you and they're saying, hey, we want to sell you this product and we want a 5-year contract with you. You cannot sign for it unless he actually assigns you as a designated signer, but he's the only one that can sign for it as the official legal representative of the company because he's the manager.
Is there only one manager? Can you have
No, you can have both of you can be managers and members. Yeah. Member managed. I mean, the story that I've heard from Edson companies and GLCs is like the way they do manager managed is, you know, you're bringing on people into your team that maybe you don't know as much. Okay, so you still have that control issue of I want to be the only one who signs on a check or things like that. So you can have a manager manage where the people coming on your team be like, I'm giving you shares, I'm giving you voting rights, I'm giving you everything. It's just you cannot put the company in a legal binding situation. I usually go with a manager managed, so I can be a manager and a member, and everyone else is a member, and it's a fair deal. Like usually it's not a problem in a team. But if both of you together, like both of you were sitting there having a beer and you came up with the idea of the company, and you're like, hey, we want to be equal at all levels. So just to kind of remove any ambiguity in the situation, then both of you can be managers as well. I know it's hard to trust him, but
Beer was involved too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what's member managed? Like, how do they sign for things?
A member managed is basically controlled by the shares. So whoever owns the largest shares basically controls the vote. So you usually need, like if you sell a company, you need 2/3 of the voting shares or voting rights. Sometimes you do that. If in your operating agreement you say, I only need 51% to make a decision, then that's the way the company operates. It's like the Bible of your company.
Okay.
But sometimes you say, I need 66% of the votes in order for the company to make a decision. Then
who can sign off? Anyone can sign off? Like on the legal, like...
Well, basically, let's say he's trying to sell you something, right? He's trying to sell you a 5-year contract, okay? And you own 30% of the company, you cannot sign. Someone owns 20% of the company, you cannot sign, right? But if both of you come together, let's just say you own 31%. Both of you come together and be like, yes, I like this agreement, okay? Now you're 51% of the company. You bring it to your team, and you're like, we both agree on it. You make a short document, 1 page, say 51% of the company voted yes, 49% of the company said no. The assigned signer is Mr. Blah Blah, and then Mr. Blah Blah signs. Yeah.
I had a quick question. So
Yeah.
for the member managed, can the manager be like a minority shareholder but still have the only authority?
The manager could be someone not even in the company. He doesn't have to have shares. All right, organizers. Basically, who's organizing these documents? So that's why when you hire LegalZoom or things like that, they're basically the organizers. So they will represent themselves as a corporation, as an organizer. Okay? But for you guys, it'll just be your name. So again, your name, the address, the city, and then you just hit I accept. Okay? And then you print your name here in caps. Okay, you put a date. You cannot electronically sign this, by the way. And you can have multiple organizers as well, but you don't fill any of those because it's your personal thing. Okay? And then you just you go on top, you hit print, and you just finished your first form. Okay, first form. There's a couple more. Okay, so that's the first one. But does that make sense in terms of the first form to get done? Okay, the cost for this is $50 on a regular basis, $35 for expedited. Make sure that you get the expedited for $85. Okay, and I'll show you how to pay for that in a second. This would be the address you're sending it to. And we'll talk about that also in a second. All right, second documents. Manager managed or member managed. So if you decide to go with a manager managed, you click on this link. If you decide to go with a member managed, you click on this link. Okay, so let's say we decide to go with a manager managed. I click over here, that's a new form. Again, entity name, basically the name of the company. We called it SkySong, comma, don't forget the comma LLC, or LCC.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go for it.
That's also this PowerPoint as well that you're using to go through this stuff? Or,
No.
I should have sent it. Are you guys part of Arizona LLC or?
We're the mentors.
Okay.
So if you guys have your email on mentioned before, I can send it to you.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah, and this link is that link is the slides.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And if you shoot me an email, I'll put my email up after this. If you shoot me an email, I'll just send it to you. All right, ACC file number. What ACC file number is, if you're already filed for the name reservation, you can basically have a case number. So just keep it empty for now since we did not. And what are we attaching this to? Are we attaching this to the Articles of Organization? Yes. But notice here what this says, Articles of Amendment. So remember I told you you can start a company on your own, and then let's say you want to add a member later on. you can click on Articles of Amendment over here, and basically what you're saying is, I'm amending my original documents. That's where you enter your ACC number over here, because you already have a case file open, and then you add those members over here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so Articles of Organization, name. Let's say I'm going to put Jacob down, right, and Jason. I know you're wondering what am I thinking, but so if I come over here, then I put the address. So what's your address? What's your address? You go ahead and put those in here. What country is it in? Okay, and is this person? And by the way, I have to put myself too. I just formed a company for you, and I took myself out. So this is good. It's a three members here. By the way, this is first and last name. So just because I'm writing the first name doesn't mean it's just first name basis. So I'm a manager. Okay, I'm also a 20% or more member. Okay, this person is not a manager, and maybe he owns less than 20%. He owns 18%. Okay, and this person is not a manager, but he owns more than 20%. Now, do you guys have an idea of how much each of us own? No, because you don't actually explain it here. You don't explain the percentages owned by each person in your Articles of Organization. You explain those in your operating documents. Operating documents are the Bible of the company. Okay? So just because you put it over here doesn't mean that justifies how many each of you actually own in terms of percentage of the company. Clear? Any questions? So notice you can have up to 6, and if you have more founders, for some reason, you can print another sheet of those.
What if it's like right now it's less than 20, but it's going to be vested over 5 years, and there'll be more than 20?
You put what they eventually will get.
Okay.
So if the plan is for them, because although they're vested, let's say they're vested 25%, right? You cannot go out to 10 people and say, oh, I'm going to vest each one of you 25%. Because that means like in 4 years you're screwing them, because it's not going to happen. None of them are going to own 25% because you just diluted all of them. So you basically put however many shares they will have. Notice that this doesn't even talk about vesting. All that goes in the operating agreement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Notice it doesn't. Do you put at the time of the sign up, or
as how much they will eventually own?
Okay.
Yeah, and then in your operating agreement you say it's 20%. Vested over 36 months, 48 months, whatever, however many months it is, and you basically just divide it by that duration, and you figure out how much you're accumulating every month.
Do you want to establish your LLC prior to having all your co-founders on board, or can you start this stuff and then add co-founders on after?
Yep, that's what I always do. I always start this on my own, because if you're the guy that comes up with an idea and you're ready to go with a company, I always form this, because my biggest thing is I want to get an EIN number so I can get this child a new social security number, and I form its own bank account, right? And then as I meet people, because you don't want to rush into getting founders on your team.
Right.
As you meet people and you be like, okay, this person is a good fit for me, then you can go ahead and add them to the operating agreement. You don't even have to file an amendment. Very rare do I actually file an amendment to actually showcase that I've added more people to my team. But I just add them to the operating agreement, and they have a copy of it. I have a copy of it. They know that they will get that many percentage, and I know exactly. So it's justified in the company operation. So in case anything happens, we have that agreement. Both of us have signed it. Yeah. So notice this is just a one-pager. So we have 2 pages from before, and now this is the 3rd page. So we have 3 pages so far. And again, if you have more than 6 founders, you can print another sheet of those and fill that up as well. Good? Okay, so next step. You need to file an additional document for an organizer. Although you filled that organizer document in the beginning, I always attach this document. And again, it's entity name, so it's pretty straightforward. Who's organizing those documents? So are you doing it? Is your wife doing it for you? Who's organizing those? Because this would be the person that they would communicate with in case any of this goes wrong. Again, I accept. You put your print name here, the date here, and you sign. Okay, again, each one of those forms need to be printed out, and then you sign it physically. Okay, and the agent. So who's the statutory agent? Again, the same process. Now, the statutory agent in some situations could be an entity. For example, there are companies out there that offer this as a service. So if you have, XYZ LLC as a statutory agent, you have to select an entity. But majority of you are startups, you probably don't have the fees to, or they don't have the money to pay the fees. So majority of the time, you're an individual that is actually filing for it. And you come on the bottom, you also hit I accept, you sign it, you print it, and again you hit individual as a statutory agent. Okay? Although you already did it up there. You see that petition here? It's question 3.1, and it's also here.
So you always that SkySong LLC.
Sorry, what?
The entity name.
Entity name is the name of your company. So yes, that will be SkySong LLC. And statutory agent will be me, and then my printed name is me, and then the date. There you go. Okay, are we good? All right, so now we have 2 pages that were the main document, right? The articles of organization. So 2 pages there, and then we have 1 more page for managers, right? We have 1 more page for organizers, and we have 1 more page for statutory agent. So 5 pages total. Okay, so those are the core. In addition to that, you need a cover page. And the cover page is right here. Okay, so are we forming a new entity? Yes, so it's a new entity. The name of the entity is SkySong LLC. Okay, and over here you'll see that I have articles of organization. Just to kind of follow up on a question that was asked to me, where is it? Yeah, so if you're filing an amendment, this will be articles of amendment. So this cover page will be the cover page for everything that you file in the future. Okay, so if you're filing an amendment, there you go. It's right here. If you're merging, if you're doing whatever it is. So for now, I'm doing articles of organization. Okay, and basically I'm going to go with an $85 fee. So I'm going to go with the expedited service fee. And I'm going to scroll down. I don't need any of this stuff. Don't waste money on it. Okay, and I'm also going to do check because I don't want to go wait in line. They're actually really good. Like they're probably one of the fastest operating like government entities that I know of. Even if you call them and you're stuck on something, they answer the phone like really quick. They help you with questions on the phone. They tell you, they're not lawyers, they're not giving you legal advice. But if you're stuck on, what does a statutory agent mean, or what they have, their website actually explains that in a lot of details. But if you're stuck on something and you just want help, they're actually more than willing to help you. All right, so check. You put the check number, so that's the number on top of your check. So it's like 185, let's say, and the check amount is $85. Okay, do not include cash if you're sending in by mail. Credit card is only if you're there by person. So you can actually show up with an envelope and give it to them, and they swipe. What?
I don't even have checks.
Well, go to a bank and get a cashier's check for $85 and say you issue the check to Arizona Corporation Commission. I lost the name there for a second. What? It's in Phoenix. Yeah, the address is right. So I'll tell you where you're going to mail this. You're going to put your email over here. And if you guys want to write down this email, this is also my email. So if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Select one return option delivery. So I say mail. Basically, mail it back to me. Once your documents are done, mail it back to me. So they basically, after they approve everything, they're going to send you a packet, or like a packet that has all the forms that's been approved. Basically, everything has been. They photocopy everything. And there's usually a cover sheet that says you've been approved, and I'll tell you about the next steps.
Do you have a copy of your operating agreement?
Sorry, what?
They don't need a copy of your operating agreement?
No. That's you guys'.
This is mailed. If we put SkySong, is it mailed to SkySong?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So person or company name. My address is 1475. You get it. My phone number. I don't want to put the rest of my number here because this is being streamed online. Okay, and that is my number. It's 555, and then Scottsdale, Arizona 85257. Okay, so you just print this out. You have your 5 sheets before. and you basically just put them together. Don't staple them, and you just put a check inside. You fold it, and you send it off. Where do you send it off to? The address is right there. Arizona Corporation Commission, Corporate Filing Section, 1300 West Washington Street, Phoenix, Arizona.
When you make the check out to Arizona Corporation Commission?
Yes. Okay?
This is in which form?
This is the first one. It's either on the first one or the agent, the statutory agent. It's right here as well. It's either the first form or the last form that we talked about. Okay? Any questions? We good? All right. All right, so now what happens? You go ahead and send this in, and they're going to review it. They're going to do the name check. They're going to make sure that everything is fine. Usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks on an expedited timeline, 8 to 12 on a slow timeline. So you want to just pay the extra fees and do that. So what do they do when they send you back the paperwork? They send you back that tell you it's been approved. Now your job is you have to publish to the state that you actually formed a new LLC. And how does that work? You basically have to contact a newspaper that's been approved by the Arizona Corporation Commission in order to file those paperwork. And in that packet that you get back, there's a list of all those newspapers. Does that make sense? So they tell you, depending on what county you're in, so Maricopa County, Pinal County, all that, they give you a list of all the newspapers and a contact phone number and a fax number. Okay, and all you have to do is, my favorite is Capital Times. I'm not making advertisement here, but they're the cheapest and they're the nicest to deal with. So what do? They're in that form that you get back, there's going to be one pager that tells you what's the name of the company, what's the file number, and what's the name of the person filing. Okay, so you just fill that form. It comes in the mail after your forms get approved. All you have to do is you call Capital Times and you say, I already filled that up and I'm going to mail this to you. I'm going to fax this to you. Okay, being an Edson company, you have access to a fax machine downstairs. You just go ahead and fax that document to them. Okay, it's a one document and copy of all the forms that you already filled. Okay, that comes in the mail from Arizona Corporation Commission, so you don't have to like create something new or anything like that. You just fill that form, you already have the 5 sheets after that, and you just fax it in to the number on that. I don't remember the fax, I forgot the fax number over here, but it's right on the form, they give it to you. So you call them up, you're like, hey, I just faxed this to you, and on the cover sheet you say, call me when you get this, and you leave your phone number. Because what happens is when they get it, they will call you and be like, are you ready to pay the fees? Because there's a $30 fee. Okay, to actually file it, and they do 3 publications. That's why you need 3 publications, and they report it back to the state that you actually published. You have 30 days to do those. So I would get on it. It's really fast. Okay, so they would call you, be like, "You have a credit card? You want to pay by credit card?" You tell them yes. You give them the credit card number. They charge you. You're off you go, and they handle everything else. That's why I like them. Like they call you and they talk to them and things like that. So after they do that. It gets published, and remember when we did the name search in the beginning, where's the thing? If you guys remember, we did that name search. Oh, come on. I'm gonna search Blue Dream again. You see that public articles of organization, the published? So that's what the newspaper does. So if you click here, you see Arizona Capital Times. There's their phone number. Oh, there you go. There's their phone number. There's their fax number. Okay, and they kind of show it's been signed by them, it's been notarized, it's been approved, and it's been sent back to the Arizona Corporation Commission. They scan it and they publish it online as well.
What is the purpose for publication?
Just basically kind of notification that this company with this name has been formed. If you actually look at the newspaper when they publish that, it's like the smallest, tiniest font that it's the part of the newspaper that you just like skip over. You'd be like, was that like a printing error? It just looks like no one reads them really, but it's just a legal thing. It's another $30 to spend, so it's not bad. Like overall, you can get a company for $110. If you go to LegalZoom, they're charging you that plus. They charge you like $99 plus the Arizona fee, which is like another $100. It's really not that difficult. I mean, if you guys saw the forms, it's really not that difficult to file. Okay, so you formed your LLC. You get a letter back in the mail. They tell you you're good to go. Your LLC is formed in Arizona. Now your job is to get an EIN number. An EIN number basically like is a social security for your business. So you just click on this link. Although it's a website, they have hours of operation. I still don't understand that.
What?
Okay, so they have hours of operation, and then you can apply online. I don't think this is within their hours of operation.
This is East Coast time.
Yeah, so I think we exceeded the hours of operation, so we can't do it now. But you basically go in there and they ask you what kind of business is it. It's just like, honestly, like radio buttons.
I think there's only like 5 questions.
Yeah.
It's pretty personal.
Yeah, it's very easy. But you basically get an EIN. You get a PDF. Do not lose that PDF because there's no way to go back and access it. So make sure you save that PDF when you're done. It doesn't get emailed to you or anything. So make sure you save it on your flash drive in a couple places.
Okay, and that's what I was gonna ask. Can I just like say if I have an EIN already, can I use that same EIN for my LLC, or do I have to go get a new EIN?
I think I don't exactly know. Yeah, I don't exactly know.
Bank to start over again as far as that goes.
I would check maybe with your bank. Your bank should probably know if you upgrade to an LLC, but you already have the EIN. Yeah, because maybe if it's still the same company, just a new legal entity, it will be fine. I just don't know. I really don't know.
The
Yeah.
company name isn't going to change. It's going to be the same thing. But, you know,
Yeah. See, but when we upgraded from an LLC to a C corp, it was a brand new EIN.
Okay. But I'm sure because they, you know, maybe it was because they have multiple members at that point. Like when you do a C corp, they assume, I guess, you're going to have multiple members.
Yeah, but it won't matter because like it's a company. It's its own representation.
Maybe because it's
Yeah,
instead of the state.
True. Yeah, I don't know. I know that. Yeah, just the lawyer did all that stuff, so I kind of like dodged it.
I got you.
Yeah, but something that maybe the banker would know. Like he probably has that like happen a lot. But yeah, you get your EIN, and then if you GLC, I guess you get some money for that. So after you get your EIN, you're pretty much like legit, and you get to operate, and you can go to a bank and have a copy of your LLC documents, have a copy, and they actually can look up your LLC. Like I'm not doing a promotion, but I use Chase, and they're pretty nice. Like if you forgot those documents, they can look it up. Just like we did a name search, they can look those up. Just make sure you have the copy of that PDF for the EIN number, so they can register you, and you have a bank account with a company name and all that stuff.
If you say I'm doing Brian's books and I'm selling books at a bookstore, don't I have to get a sales permit through like the DOE?
Yes. So depending on what your business is. So if you're like a contractor, I'm not really familiar with this field. I know like there are specific businesses, and if you go to the website, there's a list of specific businesses that has to require a special license. So if you open like a smoke shop or like just like opening like getting a liquor license, there's a special one that you have to get. If you're selling something with taxes, there's also like an Arizona sales tax registration that you have to do. This is more like high level, just like legal entity of the company, not the operational documents that you need.
I just have one more kind of operational question. Do you also have to file with the city that you're doing business in?
Depending on the city.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the city. Scottsdale, I think, has different. I've honestly never had to file with cities. Although like my address is here, I've like never sold in Scottsdale, and majority of my stuff has always been virtual. So I've never sold a physical product. So it is a field that I'm not really familiar with. But I know that if you're operating within the city, there are city taxes that you have to pay. There's city taxes that you have to pay. So again, this is like legal entity of the company.
Right.
We're not operating yet. We're not selling anything yet. This is just to give you some sort of a legal structure.
Got it.
Okay. If you guys need help with like operating agreements and stuff like that, I can show you like some of the samples of like stuff that I've used. Some of them are like 60 pages long, and some of them are 20 pages. But there's a lot of templates online that you can be able to like, oh, I like this clause here, I like this clause here. But I mean, you can Lego it out like before you even get to a lawyer and spend money, and actually make something official like later on. But that's something up back to you. You know, if you want to be like fully like lawyer backed from the beginning. Sorry, what? They don't ask you for the operating agreement. No, they don't care about the operating. This is just This is just an agreement between you guys. Okay, so if you're forming a company with a couple of other guys, you want to just have some rules of, you know, if this guy, you know, misses a deadline or misses what he's promising for, you know, 15 days or more, or 30 days or more, then that is ground for first violation. If he does it again, that's ground for third violation. So you can say, and then he could be like, you know, asked to leave the company and the shares. Like, you know, let's say, let's say John, right? John is my partner in the company, and John passes away, right? Now, do I want John's wife to take his shares? I don't like John's wife. I don't want to work with John's wife. So in my operating agreement, we should have a statement that say, I have first rights of buying back those shares. Okay, now there's a company value, and if he owns 50% of them, I should, if I can't afford it, then yeah, John's wife has the right to take the rest, because, or maybe put them up for whatever it is, but, or we can have a clause in there, if someone passes away, then the shares are divvied up equally between the rest of the co-fund. So it's just how do you want the company to operate, and it's just your rules, and just a matter of getting together with your team and agreeing on something. I tell you, make sure that gets done early on in the company. I know you guys are lovey-dovey and you guys are friends forever and things like that. Get it done in the beginning, just because you never know what happens, right? You might get into a fight and things just. I've heard about, you know, Etsy companies that just, you know, went downhill just because of that. So you don't want to be in that situation. Just, you know, put everything on the table. Don't be emotional about it, and just get it done. Yeah, once you get the letter that says you've been published 3 times, then you can 3 times. So that's about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. But at that point, like you're, you know,
that's a 5-6 week process.
Yeah, 5 week. Yeah. I always check online, because I always check it online, because usually they publish it online before you even get the letter. So, but you know, after you form the LLC, you're good. I mean, no, the LLC publication, yeah, newspaper publication. It's online, yeah, within the normal operating hours.
So you have actually, what is it, 10 o'clock?
7, yeah. Yep.
Online,
You're an entrepreneur. You have nothing else to do during the day. Just do it.
I wish it was that
Unless
way.
you have a full-time job, wish you could be.
Yeah. that lunch break, that's what you use it for. It honestly doesn't. It's probably 5 or 6 questions, and then you get that PDF, and then it's like super fast to get it. It's not like that difficult. Okay. So now the easy part, you just grow your business. You finish the hard part. So I give you a couple of links here that are barely seen, but these are kind of like FAQs on, you know, how do I form a limited liability company, and it's just kind of links back to different websites that I find like helpful, like what's the statutory agent, things like other companies have asked me, like what does this mean, what does it mean to be manager managed, like if you forgot what I talked about today. So, you know, feel free to just click through them if you have any questions, but you also have my email in case you want to ask me any direct questions. That's it. It's really not bad. I mean, it's 5 sheets in a cover form. You can honestly do it in 20 minutes after you come up with a name for the company.
Probably the hardest part.
As far as the taxes go, like, what type of form would you need to fill out with the LLC? Comes down to that.
It's called Form Hire an Accountant. Because, yeah, I cannot emphasize this enough. I did it on my own. I thought I was like, oh, TurboTax all the way. I had to pay like $3,000 in taxes. And yeah, because I did that on my own. like no, like by the time it shows like I'm liable to paying $3,000 because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, I think this is it, right? And you put in forms, and then I hired an accountant, and I actually got money back. No, I think I paid like $200 because what happens is if you're the only person in the company, I have a full-time job, so I was making money there, and then the company losses were actually offsetting some of those, so I only had to pay some money. But the things that the accountant will actually, or the CPA will deduct for you is amazing. And I have a great accountant or a great CPA. I'm more than happy to share her information. She did my personal taxes and 2 companies for like $400. So, and then it was perfect. Like you go meet with her, and especially if you own a house and you have like all the other expenses and things like that, like she deducts everything. And I have a bookkeeper too. If your company is really operational and making money, I have a bookkeeper. I don't pay a lot for that. It's $40 an hour, but I only meet with her once a quarter. I'm just going to update my QuickBooks. I think there's a couple classes coming up on QuickBooks, but it's the way like she organized. The good thing is like she compiles that QuickBooks file, and then she gives them to my CPA. My CPA just like decodes all that stuff. I don't know what kind of magic they do, and then I know that all my taxes are. And you don't want to be in that position because your audit chance is so high if you do it on your own compared to a company doing it for you. So you want that protection of the company that is official doing it. Especially like you're always at a higher chance of an audit if you're a small business operator, because they think you're deducting everything. But it's something to keep in mind. $40 an hour for a bookkeeper, and if you have, I used to have like good business, like a lot of contractors we used to pay $80 a quarter. That's nothing. And then CPA $400 a year, it's really nothing. So it's totally worth it, because they do like Schedule C and like Schedule K and all that stuff. I have no idea what they do.
So the GLC companies that we are forming will be getting like let's say $2,000 or whatever for break this year. So that amount will be taxable. That's the whole amount.
Like an income?
Yeah.
No, it's considered a grant. If it's the same thing as Edson, is the GLC money the same as Edson money?
It's still grant money.
Yeah, it's grant money, so it's not income. It's not. I mean, honestly, if you're making $2,000 a year, you have so many expenses, so you can deduct a lot of them. Yeah, yep. I won't worry about that. All right, cool. Any other questions? All right.
So when you form the company, you go to the bank, get a bank account number. Does the money that you're supposed to have from Edson go into that bank account?
Yep.
Or
don't put it in your account.
no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or does somehow Edson still keep it and we have to?
Oh, the GLC money I believe is reimbursement based.
I'm not sure, 100% sure, but I know like for Edson, it's not, we don't give you.
Yeah, you don't get the money.
You give us receipts.
Yeah.
And then we go from there.
Yes.
That's all we do, just give you the receipt.
Yeah.
Right,
So
so any expense that you have that we are.
it has to be an approved expense. It has to be an approved expense.
Exactly.
So you can, like for Edson, if you're an Edson company, you cannot go buy a personal computer and say, oh, this is for my business. Okay, you cannot use it to pay tuition. So there are specific things that you cannot use because it is grant money. It's coming from the foundation. I think the same thing with the GLC. I would probably follow up with Jim on that because he would know a lot more about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Edson?
For
Okay.
our Edson, I don't remember if you remember from orientation, but the sheets that Ken had us go over with you guys, or that he went over with you guys, that show your number and then have your rental description, and at the bottom you have to tell us what it is that you purchased and why you purchased it.
How does it improve your business? Yeah, how does it move your business forward?
So what about applying for the $110?
Yep, you can get that reimbursed. Yep, I've got that reimbursed before.
Now, let's say, okay, so my company, we manufacture a product. And when my manufacturing product, because I actually go through a local manufacturer here in Tempe, my company's manufacturer cost be covered.
Yes.
Is that my actual production cost?
If you have an invoice of where was that used, and you write like a small 2-liners of how was that fee helping you advance your business forward, then usually it is reimbursed. Just to play it safe, in case if it's something out of the ordinary, I would check with Jim first before you go ahead and do the purchase, just to make sure it does get reimbursed. I've never had issues they usually, if you show it, like I had it, it's honestly a case-by-case situation, because although they tell you like, you know, you cannot purchase a laptop, but my second company was a tech company, and the only way we can build a website is we had to purchase computers and servers. So that was approved, you know, from the foundation to actually purchase those, because we were a tech company. So
I think the question is, if you're asking, are you Edson or GLC?
I believe in Edson. I'm a manufacturing company.
Mm-hmm.
So we ship product. Our raw product comes in from Ohio, and when we get that, we take it to we have a factory, a small factory over here in Tempe, and it gets manufactured there, and then we sell it from then on. But the purchase of the actual raw material is what I'm saying is that.
Well, being in front of Edson, it has to be approved by our accountant.
yeah.
So anything that you feel needs to be reimbursed, you write up that cover sheet that we are talking about,
And they will approve it first, and
your
then
team
I
leader
can
should
go
know
ahead and
about
make
it.
that
Yeah.
And it will get
purchase.
approved, and if it's approved, we'll let you know.
And you just submit an invoice, and you get the money
Right.
back.
If you're GLC, the grant money that is given to you is for your use. We don't need to know what you're spending it on. Obviously, don't be doing illegal stuff, but it's
Unless that's your business. Just kidding.
So if it's anything that you need to pay, you just have to keep us updated on what it is that you're using it for. But we're not going to hold you liable for every little piece of information. That's as far as I understand.
Yeah.
That's how we're feeling.
If you have any questions for Edson, just ask Tracy regarding reimbursement. And if you have any questions regarding GLC, ask Jim. Because it is a grant situation, so it gets kind of tricky of where the money is coming from and what you can use it for. Okay. Well, it was a pleasure having you guys. It's a wrap. Next week, it's Thursday, and so we're back to the Lean Launchpad sessions. Mentors will be here. Same drill, just today was
Next week is
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks, yeah. Right?
Well, no, next week we have it on a Wednesday, not a Thursday.
Oh, next Wednesday, yes, next
So
Wednesday.
we moved it a day before, and then it's the following Thursday.
Yep. Don't listen to me. Just follow what the emails go out.
Not on Thursday?
For what, for Lean Launch?
Yeah.
Lean Launchpad will not be Thursday next week, it will be on a Wednesday because of it's Halloween the 31st. And so the final presentation dates for Lean Launchpad will be November 7th.
No one wanted to show up dressed up, so we ended up doing Wednesday. So. All right, it's a wrap, guys. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help.
I got one last question actually.
Yep.
If you do an LLC to start, do you still have to pay the full amount if you want to go C Corp, or do they deduct that cost?